Right now, if you're in love, your brain is literally malfunctioning. Your pupils dilate, your prefrontal cortex shuts down, you stop eating, you can't sleep, you make terrible decisions. You've been hijacked by a neurochemical cocktail of dopamine, oxytocin, and norepinephrine that makes you irrational, vulnerable, and completely stupid. We call it one of the most beautiful things in existence. But here's the question nobody thinks to ask. When did this start? Not when you fell in love. When did humans first fall in love? We're not talking about lust. We're not talking about pair bonding for reproduction. We're talking about the specific, painful, irrational experience of being in love with another person. The kind where you can't stop thinking about them. The kind where their absence physically hurts. Archaeologists have been finding evidence for decades that this is far older than we ever thought, and the proof doesn't exist in bones or tools. It exists in graves. In 2005, a team of researchers in northern Iraq excavated a site called Shanidar Cave. They weren't looking for love. They were looking for evidence of Neanderthal burial practices. What they found instead was the oldest love story in human history. Two skeletons, a male and a female, positioned face to face, buried together 50,000 years ago. And they weren't just buried together, they were arranged with intention. Their hands were interlocked, their foreheads nearly touching. Around them, grave goods, flowers, pollen, evidence that someone had taken time to honor not just the dead, but the relationship. Now, skeptics will say this proves nothing. Maybe they died in an accident. Maybe they just happened to be buried close. But then came 2008 and another discovery that changed everything. In a cave in Morocco called Dar es Sultan, archaeologists found two skeletons from 24,000 years ago. Again, male and female. Again, positioned face to face. But this time, there was something else. Ochre dust. Red ochre. The same pigment humans used for ritual and ceremony, scattered across both bodies like they'd been painted for the funeral. Someone 24,000 years ago stood over the body of someone they loved and painted them red. That's not mourning a useful partner. That's mourning a person you couldn't bear to lose. But here's where it gets really strange. These graves aren't unique. In 2010, an analysis of multiple Neanderthal burial sites found a pattern. When individuals were buried with flowers, with stones arranged around them, with ochre, those individuals showed something specific: signs of severe injury or disability. One skeleton, found in France, was a Neanderthal man who had been completely blind. His eyes were damaged beyond recovery. He couldn't hunt. He couldn't contribute to survival in any practical way. And yet he lived to adulthood. He lived because people who loved him kept him alive. The anthropologist Jean-Jacques Hublin published research suggesting that Neanderthals weren't just burying the dead, they were selecting who to bury with care, who got flowers, who got ochre, who got ceremony. And the selection wasn't random. The people who received the most elaborate burials, the most decoration, the most ritual, were often the ones least useful to the tribe. The elderly, the injured, the ones who couldn't hunt. Why would a prehistoric tribe waste resources on elaborate funerals for people who didn't contribute? The only explanation is love. They did it because losing those people hurt. Now let's jump forward. 60,000 years. A cave in Israel called Kafze. Two young humans, a child and a young adult, buried together. The young adult's arm is draped over the child. The gesture is unmistakable. It's protection. It's tenderness. It's what you do when you want to hold someone even after they're dead. The person who buried them was choosing to be buried with them, choosing to spend eternity in that position. That's not logistics. That's love. By 40,000 years ago, when modern humans started making art on cave walls, the evidence becomes undeniable. We find flutes indicating music. We find evidence of ceremonies indicating ritual. We find elaborate headdresses and jewelry indicating adornment not for function, but for beauty. And more importantly, we find evidence of humans choosing partners and staying with them. In 2011, geneticist Sarah Blaffer-Hrdy published research suggesting that monogamous bonding emerged somewhere around this time, not because it was useful for hunting, but because it was useful for the brain. The human brain got larger, babies became more helpless, pregnancy became more dangerous. And the solution nature came up with was this: make humans fall in love, make them want to stay with one person, make it hurt when they leave. Neuroscientist Andreas Bartels studied the brains of people in love and found something fascinating. The areas that light up when you're in love are the exact same areas that were enhanced in early humans around 100,000 years ago. The anterior insula, the anterior cingulate cortex, the areas responsible for reading emotion, understanding another person's mind, and feeling pain when someone else suffers. Evolution had a choice. It could have made us more aggressive, more dominant, more competitive. Instead, it made us more empathetic. It made us capable of suffering when someone we love is suffering. It made us willing to die for someone else. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Love is expensive. It's metabolically expensive to maintain a monogamous bond. It's emotionally expensive to care that much about one person. It makes you vulnerable. It makes you weak. In pure survival terms, love is a liability. And yet it's spread. It became a universal human experience. It's in every culture we've ever studied. It's in our art, our music, our stories. We organized entire civilizations around it. The question is, why? The answer might be that love isn't actually about reproduction. Love is about consciousness. The neurologist Paul MacLean argued that love is the mechanism by which consciousness expands. When you fall in love with someone, you start seeing the world through their eyes. You start caring about their happiness as much as your own. You literally expand your sense of self. Your identity grows to include another person. That's what the Neanderthals in Shanidar Cave understood. That's what the humans in Kafze understood. That when someone you love dies, it's not just the loss of a body, it's the loss of an entire universe of experience. It's the loss of a version of yourself that existed only in relationship with them. And evolution knew this was powerful. Evolution knew that if humans could fall in love, they could organize into larger groups, they could cooperate beyond family, they could build societies based on something stronger than blood or survival. Love didn't just change us emotionally, it changed us evolutionarily. It created the conditions for civilization. Fast forward to today, you're sitting on your phone. Your heart is racing because someone didn't text you back. You're anxious, you're vulnerable. Your prefrontal cortex is offline. You're being hijacked by neurochemicals that make you stupid. And somewhere deep in your brain, in the same circuitry that made a Neanderthal paint a loved one with red ochre, you know that this feeling, this terrible, irrational, beautiful feeling is the most important thing in your life. Love didn't evolve because it was useful. Love evolved because consciousness evolved, and consciousness needed a mechanism to connect itself to other consciousness. We spent 50,000 years learning to die for people we loved. We spent another 50,000 years building societies around it. We're not in love because it makes sense. We're in love because we're the only animals in the universe that can know that we're alone. And love is the only thing that makes that knowledge bearable. That Neanderthal couple in Shanidar Cave, buried face-to-face 50,000 years ago, understood something we're still trying to understand. Love isn't a bug in the human system. Love is the whole point.